أقبل يا خالقي من جديد كما أنت مني إلهي تريد وأرجو إذا أنت تقبلني جنان الخلود ومنك المزيد جنان الخلود ومنك المزيد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So alhamdulillah, we were talking about the Battle of Uhud, and we talked about how it occurred in the third year of Hijri, in the third year after Hijrah. And one of the things is that the 14th of Shawwal, this is the day where the Prophet ﷺ prayed Salatul Jum'ah in Masjid Nabawi. And after praying Salatul Jum'ah in Masjid Nabawi, he set out with the army, with the Muslims, towards Uhud. So they proceeded towards Uhud, and that's where they set up camp in a place near Uhud, where they prayed Salatul Asr, Salatul Maghrib, Salatul Isha. They spent the night, and then they also prayed Salatul Fajr at that encampment, and then they proceeded on towards the battleground itself, near Uhud itself. Now, some of the things that happened during that day and that night near this place. First of all, the place where it was, it's called Masjid Shaikhain. This is one of the masajid in Madinah Munawwara. It's called Masjid Shaikhain because of two hills that were near that area. Also, it's called Masjid Dira'. And Dira' is, for example, the armor that you wear when you go to battle. So it's called that because the Prophet ﷺ made preparations for war, and preparations, making Sahabah prepared for that, and they put on the Dira', they put on their armory and that morning from that place before proceeding on to the battleground. So this is a place, actually, there's a restaurant there which I love to go to. I think it changed the name like 3-4 times. I think currently it's called Marhaba Chili's. There's also Dar al-Kawthar bookshop, which is right next to that. So that Maidan, that empty area, it's right basically across the street from this restaurant. And that area, that's where, and you'll see Masjid Dira' there, or Masjid Shaikhain, you can see it from that area. So that's the place where the Prophet and the Sahabah encamped for the night on the 14th of Shawwal. And we see that the Prophet ﷺ, he inspected the army, and we learned that while he was inspecting the army, he saw that there were youth. He noticed that there were youth that had joined the army, and these youth were not of the age. So in Islam, we know that puberty is when a person becomes a man. Okay, so you could say around 15 years old. Sometimes a little bit before that, sometimes even a little bit after that, but around 15 years old, that's when a person becomes a man. So anybody who was basically underage, the Prophet ﷺ would send them back. So we see the zeal of the Sahabah, of the young Sahabah, the youth, that they would be standing, and some of them standing on their tippy toes to make themselves look taller, so that the Prophet ﷺ will allow them to come and fight. And this reminds us of the famous incident in the Battle of Badr, where Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he narrates in the hadith. He says that in the Battle of Badr, I looked towards my right and then I looked towards my left, and he says that I see these two young boys next to me, and then he said, I thought to myself that, what good is it to be next to these guys? They're not going to be able to protect me. I'm going to be actually ending up having to protect them in the battle. So Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he says that while we're standing there and we're waiting for the battle to begin, he says that one of them turns to me, pulls on my clothes, and he says, oh uncle, can you show me who's Abu Jahl? Where is that Abu Jahl? And he says, why do you ask? He says, well, I heard that he verbally abuses our Prophet ﷺ, and I want to basically exact revenge on this person. How dare he abuse my Prophet ﷺ? And then he said the one on the left, the other boy, he also said the same words, that where's Abu Jahl? And he said the reason was because he abuses my Prophet ﷺ. So Abdurrahman bin Auf, he said, I felt a little bit encouraged that, okay, these guys are, they have a himma, they have, they want to go ahead and battle, and they're going to go attack Abu Jahl. So he says that when the battle started, Abu Jahl came forth, and he basically pointed out Abu Jahl to them and said to them that this is Abu Jahl. They both shooted out. They shot out towards Abu Jahl, and they did not leave him until both of them had killed Abu Jahl. And the names of these two Sahabah are Mu'adh ibn Afrah and Mu'adh ibn Amr ibn Jamuh, radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. So these are the two. So we see the zeal of the Sahaba, like how they wanted to fight for Islam, how they wanted to defend the Muslims, defend Islam, and fight for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this battle of Uhud, same thing. The boys are standing and they're trying to make themselves look taller so they can join the battle. The Prophet ﷺ sent many of them back and said, no, you're not old enough. There was, for example, Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anh, the adopted son of Rasulullah ﷺ, Zayd ibn Haritha, his son Osama radiallahu anhu, he was trying one of those. He was sent back for being too young to fight. You had Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu. You had different Sahaba that were sent back because they were not of age. The famous incident that occurred also again on this Maidan next to Masjid Shaikhain is that there was a Sahabi by the name of Rafi' ibn Duraj. Rafi' ibn Khudayj radiyallahu anh. So he says that Rafi' ibn Khudayj radiyallahu anh, his father Khudayj radiyallahu anh, he says that Ya Rasulullah, my son is a good archer, so allow him, to permit him to stay in the battle and fight. So the Prophet looked at him, and he was also standing up on his tippy toes. So he said he allowed him to stay. Now one of his friends, Samura ibn Jundub radiyallahu anh, he saw this, and he saw that his friend was being permitted to stay. So he says to his stepfather, he says, that Rasulullah has made me, he told me to go back, but my friend Rafi' has allowed to stay, and I can beat him in a wrestling match, meaning I'm stronger than him. So if he stays, can you talk to the Prophet ﷺ? If he's staying, let me stay also. So the Prophet ﷺ was informed about this, and he actually had them do a wrestling match. So they wrestled each other, and one of the narrations that comes that Rafi' before they started the match, he actually whispered in the ear of Samura whispered in the ear of Rafi', and he says to him that you're already going to the battle, you're already approved, the Prophet already allowed you to come to the battle, so you have nothing to lose, allow me to win. Okay, allow me to win this wrestling match, don't try hard, basically let me win so I can also join in the army. So Samura radhiallahu anh, he beats Rafi' radhiallahu anh in the wrestling match, and the Prophet allows him also to join the battle. Now after they spent the night at Masjid Shaikhain, the Muslim army woke up in the morning, they prayed Fajr, and obviously they prayed Tahajjud, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for victory, helping for Nusra. Now they after in the morning, when they were just about to leave and proceed towards Uhud, Abdullah ibn Ubay, the leader of the Munafiqeen, with 300 of his followers. 300 of his followers. Remember, the Muslim army was only 1,000 in number. So 1/3 of the army, Abdullah ibn Ubay takes 300 of his followers, and they basically they just leave. They just get up and say, he's using his excuse that, Ya Rasulullah, you didn't follow my opinion. So now he's basically, I'm upset, you didn't follow my opinion. So he gets up and leaves with 300 of his companions. And that was on purpose too. Those are hypocrites. Obviously they did it on purpose to hurt the morale of the Muslims, with that large of a group leaving on the day of the battle. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq, inshallah, to understand the lessons from this great battle, and inshallah we'll continue on with more lessons. Barakallahu feek. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.